Hello and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester and thank you for joining us for this Jürgen Strand Larsen special. We can see a few faces amongst us, a couple of old boys or younger boys, everyone looking to play for the Wolves Report last year. Welcome back to our top scorer, Elliott, and our midfielder, Lee. Thanks for coming back again and playing for the Wolves Report, and our new signing, Josh, as well. Gentlemen, we're all taking part in a tournament coming up on the 6th of September. It's all about the Wolves Foundation. So let's just play this little video before we start talking about Wolves. Let's go through. So basically on the 6th of September, there is the Content Creators Cup, a 7-a-side tournament. Dazzling Dave's hosting it. He's done a really good job. We're going to earn a lot of money. Our main sponsors are Elliott and Co. Thank you for being our front of shirt. Axe Solutions. Thank you, Charlotte, there. That's our back of shirt sponsor. Thank you for that. And also there's a massive nod here. I spoke to Steve Splant's family, and his book is going to be a nod to him on our shirt, a real top man amongst the Wolves community who we sadly recently lost. So yeah, much appreciated to Planty's family for allowing us to do that and giving us a nod to him. Now, today's show, we're going to talk about Jürgen Strand Larsen. Now, there was a massive bid come in, £50 million, rejected, £55 million, rejected. There's talk of a £60 million. We're recording this show ahead of the Everton game, and it looks like he's going to miss that game through injury. He has been carrying Achilles injury, but who knows? Anyway, gentlemen, let's talk about Jürgen Strand Larsen. Talk with our top scorer last year. Elliott, this is a tough situation for Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, not a position you want to be in, really, is it? With your sort of your main striker, 4 days to go to the transfer window shuts and bigger clubs come sniffing. It's a difficult one. I mean, from a fan perspective, you just cannot sell him, in my opinion. Financially, different story, but if it means us staying up or going down, losing him could mean we go down. And in my opinion, you just cannot afford to do that. Obviously, we've been linked with a few people, but he's got a year experience in the Premier League, our top scorer, more or less. Well, now Coon's gone. You just can't let him go, unfortunately. Whatever bid comes in, you've got to reject it.
Worked 14 goals in his opening season. Very much Wolves talisman now. Obviously, Cunha was a bit more of an individual. We think Larsen's a bit more of a team player. In the week, fantastic reaction finish, fantastic header. How do you replace that at such short notice?
I don't think you can. And I think what Elliott said was, I was at the West Ham game, and it literally, him coming on changed the whole dynamic, because what he does, he occupies centre halves, which creates pockets of space for others to play. And that's what, Cunha and others benefited from last year. Yes, is he perfect technically? No. But as we see now with the Premier League, it's the land of giants, isn't it? They talk about Arsenal being a basketball team, and Hwang the other night, he was bullied every time he got the ball. So we have to have that presence. And anybody else, that we try and replace him with is a risk. We've been there before, haven't we, with signings of last minute, deadline day deals, and we've got to fight to keep him. I think the way he's handled himself has been exceptional. He's kept his standards high, and he came on and showed that the other night. But like Elliott said, we can't replace him in 4 days.
Yeah, it's difficult. Josh, our big number 9, thrives off service from wide players. I mean, you've got to be thinking as well at Wolves, the wing backs will be looking, well, where's my target man now if he goes?
Yeah, I think with what we've got behind, in the pecking order behind Strand Larsen, I don't think we've got anything that gives us a presence in the box. I think for me, he's worth a lot more than 60 million to Wolves at the moment. I don't trust players that haven't done it in the Premier League to come and do it. We've seen it in the past; it doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes it does, obviously. I just think for Wolves, if he goes, I think you might as well put an R by our name, to be honest, with our striking options at the moment.
Yeah, it's a real tough one. So I want to throw this question out there. I want to sort of look at both sides of the story. Elliott, if say, for example, Newcastle come back with £60 million, if you're looking at it purely from a business point of view, Wolves 8 weeks ago paid 25 million. You're now going to get 60 million, a roughly £35 million profit in 8 weeks. That's surely the Fosun dream, isn't it?
I think, that's the nail on the head. I think Jeff's probably sat there everything that he believes in is telling him to accept the bid. The whole policy of the club is to bring these players in for 15, 20 million pounds. Soon as offers come in for 50, 60 million, then they're off. So he's definitely dying to pull the trigger, but obviously knows the backlash from that is, well, whether he can come back from that, then if he can come back from the stuff he's done in the past anyway. But I think this would just be the straw that broke the camel's back if he did that. And you say 30, 40 million pound profit. If we get relegated and he goes, it's a lot more money that we're going to lose if we're in the Championship next year. So yeah, from a financial point of view, I get it, but maybe it's the club's policy of selling these players the dream when they come, that if a big club comes in for them, that we let them go. And I think we always saw it with Kuna last year. Obviously, in January, a big club comes sniffing, big offer, and he was, well, played his cards slightly different to what most of us would, but he stayed to the end of the season knowing that he was gonna go. So maybe it's something we need to learn from in the future, that we can't sell these players' dreams, that they're going to come, big offer comes in from a big club and they're going to go, because it just upsets the apple cart.
Just on that though, Elliott, I'll move on to Lee with this bit of that. That is the model, though, isn't it? Really, I mean, we probably got Neves a little bit longer than we thought. Jota, God bless him, was absolutely fantastic, and these are the players that we bring in and develop. It's almost like we have to accept being a stepping stone. And I'm kind of, with the size of Wolves are and the way Fosun don't really want to spend their own money now, I'm kind of okay with that. But surely we have to manage players' expectations better, because we can't be really forced into a situation. He signed permanently 8 weeks ago and then expecting to go. So surely there has to be some expectation management on our part there.
Yeah, 100%. But I think it's the players, obviously the players you replace them with. I think at the minute the players coming in, I don't know, obviously we've got to give them a chance what we've signed in the summer, but I don't know, are they better than what we're selling? Do you know what I mean? I think that's the key thing. And ultimately clubs have tried to do that in the past and it only ends with relegation. Brighton's probably the best example of how they've done it, by getting top dollar for their players. So yes, if £100 million bid coming for Kuna, Aït-Nouri, Larsen, that's absolutely fine, isn't it? But 60 million these days, it's not actually a great deal of money, is it, in the grand scheme of things? When we're looking at buying this, I mean, might get onto it later, some strikers from around Europe for 20, 25, 30 million pounds. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a massive war chest of this day and age, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying. What, again, is there an argument to be had here, though, that if you sold him and you had 3 replacements coming in, because again, I've criticised Hwang a lot on this show. I don't think he's a Premier League centre forward. I think he's a fox in the box. I think he's best when he doesn't have time to think. I think he's very good. I think his link play isn't that great, but I just think there's a guy that looks like he needs a fresh start. But is there an argument to be had that if Wolves brought in 2 forwards that suited Vitor's style and a centre midfielder, that would actually be better than... It may not improve the 11, but it would improve the squad?
I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, because I think, I read, you see in the, on the socials, and you see on different sources about saying we must have a bigger squad. We must have a bigger squad. But like the way I see, we could sign 10 new players and still not replace Cunha and Aït-Nouri and Larsen, because the proven ability and having that Premier League experience is why Newcastle want him. They know he can get them 10 to 15 goals, maybe a couple more with Elanga and Gordon supplying him. What we need to try and do is we've been very good with our recruitment over the years, and they've come good with, like you say, your Cunha's, Aït-Nouri's. They didn't start great, but we can't keep risking players. This lad from Belgium that they're due to sign, I think, he looks good. He looks like a fox in the box, but he's been playing in Belgium. Arias, he's been playing in Brazil. It's going to take him maybe a season to get going like Cunha. So eventually it's going to happen. We've seen teams try and do it. Our not very good rivals that did it in the Pulis area. They kept keeping just ahead above water, just stay up. And they eventually fall through, and the teams that have come up, your Sunderland and Burnley, they actually look okay this year. We were lucky last year that was so poor. The 3 came up. So I don't think, the other point I think about is if Larsen goes, we've got to think about the players that are left, Agbadu, Andre, others. What have we promised these lads when they've come in to then all of a sudden go, actually, we're going to weaken the team again? It just creates a culture of, well, if he's gone, I'm going to go. And, with agents playing the game that they play now, it's just you've got to think about how it looks to the players remaining as well. I don't think it's a good sign.
Yeah, it doesn't create a particularly good sort of atmosphere, and it doesn't strike me as being very organised. But Josh,
any organisation with a revolving door, what does that? The people are going to look elsewhere.
I think what's the revolving door is okay as long as it's more structured. Because if you're coming in and Wolves are a stepping stone, like it was for Jota, who went on to win the Premier League and done fantastic, that's fine. But it can't be so hit and miss. But Josh, just to get your opinion on this, does it strike you there's much of a plan at the moment, or do you think it's pretty much see what happens and then we'll just decide on the day? Because there doesn't strike me at the moment to be much organisation in that department. Now, obviously, there's a new director of football coming. He's only been there a couple of months. He's picking up from where the last guy left, so he's bringing in his new structure. But in terms of sales, I don't know how involved Jeff Shee is and how much of a hindrance he would be in these situations.
I think it's pretty obvious that we are becoming a stepping stone club, but I don't think you can keep losing players like Cunha, Ait-Nouri, Neves, Jota in the past, and keep replacing them. And we're getting quite lucky that we're getting players like Strand Larsen who have hit the ground running last season. But I just think, like you say, with the structure, I feel like to lose him 2 days before the end of the transfer window, a day before, and not having a backup. I mean, if it was going to be done, it should have been done months ago. For me, should have given Vitor time to actually, get someone in and work with them in pre-season. It just seems like as soon as a club comes in, we're sort of just on our knees going, "Yep, take him."
Well, particularly with the Ait-Nouri transfer, I can't believe how low that fee was in comparison to what Elliott said now, 60 million. There's a lot of those transfers going around, but we're selling Ait-Nouri for about 30 million pounds. That just seems an absolute stinker.
That should have been double for me.
I think the Strand Larsen one's different because he's only just signed permanently. I think if this was a year's time, we was having this conversation and they were putting 60 million on the table, we'd probably be going, fair play to him. He's got a Champions League club. He's got a big move, which we've done with most of the players. We've never, turned against anybody who's left because I've always seen this model as a stepping stone. People want to come to the Premier League, prove themselves with us, and then get a big move. And I think that's been the model, and it's worked for us. But just because he's just signed permanently, Elliott mentioned Brighton in this Believer situation going to United for 100 million, but they've said it's not happening because what they've done is they've structured it to say, Believer, give us 1 more year, let us get a replacement in, let us organise ourselves, and the culture and the structure that is working at Brighton. Because if they said to Strand Larsen, listen, give us a year, really help us, even January maybe, let's have a look at it. But we haven't got that connection that Brighton have got and maybe Brentford have got with their players. It's just kind of better off we go sort of thing.
Hopefully, Vitor and his team and his new director of football bring a bit of stability and they're here for a long time, because I think he's brought in his own man. I would imagine then things will be more settled, but you've had an overlapping of eras. So you'd imagine the work that Hobbs probably put into the pre-season, and then he left, and then Tetty's come in and only had a short spell of time, really. So it is going to be a bit chaotic, but it still doesn't fill you full of much confidence. Elliott, question for you. What do we do now? It doesn't strike me like this, and it is an unfortunate coincidence, or maybe not, that Strand Larsen is injured today, is recording this at 10:14 on Saturday morning before the Everton game. What if his head's turned now? What do we do?
Well, again, that's the promise of bringing players in to say, if a big club come in and a big fee comes in, then we're open to letting you go. And I think that's the main issue. I've never been one for keeping players at clubs if they're unhappy. And I think, well, it's not just us. I mean, look at Isak at Newcastle. It's a prime example, really. I don't see, like you just said, I don't see him as the type of lad to sort of throw his tools out the pram. I think he's quite happy to be playing in the Premier League, starting number 9 for Wolves. And I think I don't think his head would have been turned if none of this would have come. I think he'd have been happy with another year with us, playing regular football, hopefully getting into double figures again, making a bit of a name for himself. So I don't think we're in danger of his head turning and him sort of sulking. I think we just need to get the window shut, move on, get him fit if he is, like I said, if he's injured. I mean, he didn't really look too injured to me on Tuesday night.
Two
Against
great goals, proper centre forwards goals. They were a reaction, and that header was wonderful.
Yeah, and the fact that if he is injured, I mean, why? I know, yes, I know it's the league. We wanted to win, it's the League Cup, blah blah blah. But would you risk him if he was injured for the last 20 minutes of that game to sort of put him out of today's game? So whether he's injured or whether it's just a call the situation off, I don't know. But I think the important thing is just get the window shut, get him settled down, and sort of like Works just said, maybe in January, if we're in an okay position and we can afford to move him on for a big fee, then that's something to look at. Or whether we say, look, in the summer next year, as long as we're still in the Premier League, then we could look to move him on then, if that's what he wanted to do.
Josh, question for you. Are Wolves ever going to get an offer for 60 million for Jürgen Strand Larsen again? Did you get me then?
No.
Did you get me then, Josh? I don't know
Sorry, lad. I'm just getting a little bit of lag, my bad.
That's all right, mate. Yeah, I don't know if you got the question then. I was just saying then, in the situation we're in now with an inflated market and people getting desperate at the end of the window, do you think Wolves are ever going to get a 60 million pound offer for Jürgen Strand Larsen again? Words, you can have that one, mate. I think Josh has gone a bit lagging. I hope he's not drinking already.
Go on, mate. I've got it. I've got it. I think at the start of the window, I'd have took him for 60 million. I'd have sold him, but now I don't think. I think he's worth a lot more to us a day before the transfer window ends. If he scores 10 plus again this season, I think we probably would get 60 million for him at least next year. But like I say, we need a number 9, or I think we're good. We're going to be in for a really long, hard season.
Yeah, well, this is, again, going back to the business model. I mean, again, I'll throw this out there and I get hammered on socials for it. Wolves got, this time last year, or a little bit longer than that, got offered 20 million for Hwang. They turned it down. Now they can't really seem to ship him off anywhere. But the business model from Fosun is to buy for a reasonable price, sell for a high price. So regardless of what, I know a lot in the press have said, Jeff Shee's made a point, he's been in contact with the player, he's not going. If the player then goes, I'm not happy, I want to go, and he does throw his toys out, what kind of situation is the chairman in, and how does he manage that with 2 days to go?
It's a really difficult one, isn't it? And I think, you could ask 100 people and you'd have maybe 100 different views. I think we go back to his looking at his character and how he's handled this. I think we dig our heels in and say, no, you've agreed to a long-term contract. We can't let you go. And I think, as much as I think his agents come out and said it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and he's never going to get that money and etc. again, or potentially not again, I think, from a business model, like I think Elliott said, he's worth more to us than that right now. His goals,
200 million plus. If we got relegated, it will cost us. So it doesn't even come close to covering it.
Yeah. And I think, we talk about a business model. This is a player we've just signed permanently, and I think we have to just dig our heels in and say, you've agreed your contract. We want you to stay. The fans clearly love you. Get your head down and crack on. And I think, fans understand that we're not the biggest club in the Premier League. We're never going to be. But this is a unique situation. So, as a business model, we dig our heels in and say no. And if we get 34 in next year and we're still in the Premier League, then we're still better off, aren't we?
Yeah, Premier League survival is what it's all about. And we had a wake-up call at Man City. I actually don't think it was a 4-0 game, but they were clearly better than us. And at Bournemouth, Wolves were a real concern then because they looked so flat. A bit better in the week against West Ham, showing what you can do if you give them some proper service. Now, Elliott, looking on to transfers coming in, Tolo Akaroda or something like that, I don't know how you say his name. Fabrizio Romano said 27 million euros. Here we go. 23 goals, 7 assists last season, 6'6". People saying that's a backup for Strand Larsen. Are we signing a player like that to be a sub?
Yeah,
Sorry,
you'd
mate,
probably
you've had
be-
a stinker there, haven't you? Apologies.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to pronounce his name, but yeah, I've done a little bit of like you do, a little bit of YouTube and a little bit of digging about like what he's like, and yeah, like I say, he looks a beast. He looks quick. Like I say, top scorer, I think was he in the Belgium league last year, which I know is not the Premier League, but again, quite a young lad. Is he one of these who is going to come in and do a number 9 job in the Premier League straight away? Probably not. So maybe he's one of these players who will come in, be happy to sort of sit on the bench this year, knowing full well there might be offers for Strand Larsen in the summer, and next year will be his sort of main year where he comes to the forefront of the team. Again, 20 odd million pounds. It seems like a lot of money, but it's not these days for someone who we don't really know, can't pronounce his name.
Go on, have a go. He's almost monetary wise a swap for Fabio Silva. And the thing about Fabio Silva is, if we'd have watched Fabio Silva last season and he wasn't a Wolves player, we'd be excited if he was coming towards us. But he'd had such a tough time, Josh, at Molineux. I almost feel sorry for Fabio. But Tolo coming in, the question is to you, looking at the way Wolves finished the game on Tuesday night, almost with sort of Arias in the 10 and 2 centre forwards. If Strand Larsen stays, could we see Tolo playing up front with Strand Larsen and switching to a sort of a 3-4-1-2?
I mean, obviously, he's 6'6", and I thought Kalajdzic and Strand Larsen finished well together. Again, two big blokes, fast fullbacks. If this bloke's 6'6", and he's obviously going to score headers, getting the
and
right
he's got
position.
a bit of pace.
Yeah, and he's got like I say, and he's got pace. It seems to me like it would be an improvement on what we saw between Strand Larsen and Sasa in the week. So yeah, I could see that working, to be honest.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I'm just concerned at this point, gents, and we'll get a little survey before we go. I'm just concerned that Wolves will give and Strand Larsen may go, because a lot of this is agent led, and we've only got to look at what's happening around. There's certain players. We've seen what's happened at Newcastle. Unfortunately, the player power is off the chart now. I'm all for everyone being treated equally, but now when a player doesn't get a move, they seem to sulk. Whether that's agent led, I don't know, but that's an ugly part of modern football, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of honour like that, and it's almost something that's accepted. I hope that doesn't happen with Strand Larsen, but if it does, then we've got a real problem. We've got a massive problem. Is there a massive problem having a sulking player that's nowhere near it? Or do we cash in and try and run round? Right, here's the big question to you all. We'll start with you, Wirtz. Wirtz, come Monday evening, will Strand Larsen be a Wolves player?
No.
Josh?
I think he will, but if he does go, it'll be an interesting evening on Twitter. Well, X.
Oh man, I'll have to host a space that night. It'll be absolute carnage.
Yeah, definitely.
but if he does go, Josh, this is where we need to lean on Mendes, because he's not really delivered for us particularly well for a while. But you look back to Neves, Jota, Willy Bolly, that kind of era, he is capable of getting some fantastic footballers, and we need him more now than ever. Elliott, is Jurgen Strand Larsen going to be a Wolves player come Monday evening?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to dig my heels and say that we'll reject any offers. More based on the fact that Newcastle obviously has signed that other chap from, is it Leipzig or somewhere? That gives me a little bit of hope that, I don't know, maybe was he there with the first option? So yeah, I'm going to go with he stays, and he'll probably do his ACL in or something by Tuesday afternoon, and then we'd wish we'd have took the money.
Cora, what an absolutely terrible thing to say and when the show. I'm sure you don't mean that. Absolute housery on the show. This afternoon, Wolves take on Everton. We'll get some predictions for that quickly as well before we go. Then we'll have another little quick nod to the tournament, and then we'll be on our way. I'm sure you guys are all going to the game this afternoon and probably have got things to do via the pub. This afternoon, Josh, Wolverhampton Wanderers v Everton. No Strand Larsen, injured. First scorer and prediction, please.
I'm going to go 2-0 Everton, Grealish.
Oh, you're an absolute stinker, Josh. Yeah. Lee?
Yeah.
I was going to say 1-1, but Grealish will score.
Oh, you guys are not making me feel very happy here at all. Elliot, last but not least, just lie or something. Just do anything.
Okay, I'll go 3-0 Wang hat-trick.
I said that, taking the mickey out of me now. I'll go 1-0 Wolves. Arias. I'm not going to predict us to lose. Just a quick shout out again about the tournament coming up on a week today, the Content Creators Cup. These three guys all being part of the latest Wolves Report squad. Edwards & Co, our main sponsors. Thank you so much for that. Also, moving on to Act Solutions, who will be our back of shirt sponsor. Thank you so much for that. All these profits from our kit and afterwards will all be going on to the Wolves Foundation. In the Content Creators Cup, which is the idea to make some money for the charity. And last but not least, you spoke to Planty's family, proudly going to wear they wore the shirt logo on our sleeve as a nod to him and for everything he did for the charities for Wolves in and around the hospitals and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely top human. God bless you, Planty. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. I'll see you all next Saturday. Stretch those hamstrings. No going out Friday night. This has been the Strand Larsen special of the Wolves Report. Up the Wolves.